G'day there guys, it's Connie here again from Marquee Industries, and we are back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and also the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Alrighty, let's get right into it. Alrighty folks, one relationships. This one was written by user Windfall Smash, and it's titled, I won $10,000 cash. My boyfriend of 4 years and I have been having a childish fight, and I did something I can't undo. He's a full-time student who works part-time in the summer. I have a full-time and part-time job. He studies a lot. We live together and mostly live off my pay while he stretches what he makes in the summer. Neither of us have ever owned a car because it isn't necessary where we live. We both walk or take the public transport everywhere to save money. In the morning we stop at a corner shop shortly before splitting up for the day. He buys cigarettes and coffee. I buy fruit for my lunch, and on the weekends, lotto tickets. He always makes fun of me for paying the stupid tax, but I figure my indulgence is cheaper and doesn't come with lung cancer. Sometimes I jokingly tell him not to expect a penny when I win. The day I won, he answered me with, "Fine, keep it all. It's not like I'm crying over a penny of nothing over here." I showed him I'd won. He stared for a bit and then dismissively told me I'd probably spent more than that on tickets. In response, I asked what I should blow his half on for myself. I was honestly joking at the time, but he suddenly became angrier than I've ever seen him, and I didn't want to admit I'd been kidding because he was so ticked off it ticked me off. He wants a car, and I don't. He keeps trying to steamroll me, so I'm refusing to share the money. In honesty, I'm willing to spend or save the money for us, but I don't want a car. I won't use a car, and it will keep costing us money in parking and maintenance. After weeks of him sulking and lecturing me about his entitlement to the money, he took me to the car lot and tried to embarrass me into going along with him in front of a salesman. I threw a tantrum after we left without buying anything, and I went to my mum's and paid our rent up to the end of the year and donated the rest to charity. He doesn't know. I effed up and don't know how to come clean. I don't see where Opie effed up at all. I mean, it's her money, she can do with it as she pleases. I think paying off a year's rent and giving the rest to charity is a pretty decent way to spend it. Let's go to some comments. I effed up and don't know how to come clean. I don't think you effed up at all. Someone says, me neither. You spent your money buying the tickets. It's technically your winning money. It's not like you're married. That'd be a little different. He's just mad that he didn't support you buying the tickets in the first place, so now he looks entitled. I think he spent the money very wisely. Plus, now he doesn't have to worry about rent. He better not complain. Agree. The only way this would be an F-up is if Opie has a tax bill coming due to the winning with no funds, Andy Moore, to pay it. Opie says, no, I rounded down to $10,000 because I was counting after tax and a celebratory dinner. All in all, OP, you sound like a very level-headed person. Your boyfriend, on the other hand, sounds like a huge jerk. Why are you with someone who treats you like that? You paid up rent for both of you, or just yourself? OP said, it's my place from before dating him. I never ask him for rent because it's cost me the same either way. Just to be clear, he's living rent-free, and you share finances, meaning you pay for everything unless his part-time job gives him enough hours, and he's demanding more money from you? I think you should seriously consider everyone's responses. Your boyfriend does not sound like he's respectful or appreciative of the effort you put into your relationship. That said, do you mean that your dad gave you money when you turned 18 so you could get yourself out of an abusive situation if you had to? Because that's the first I've heard of a parent doing that, but it's seriously an awesome idea. I know a few women who keep saving specifically because they want to have insurance in case of a bad situation, but never a parent initiating that sort of savings. If I ever have children, I'm totally stealing that idea. Opie replies, yeah, my dad sat me down and gave me the grown-up talk about verbal and physical abuse and consent, how to recognize it, what to do, how not to be abusive. Then he gave me the money and explained how to use it. He did this for all his kids, boy or girl. Yeah, sounds like some pretty solid parenting to me. Okay, Opie makes an update. Long story short, a couple months before I won, my boyfriend had secretly dropped out of school to join a Christian rock band. He's not Christian. and bartend to cover his new coke habit, which explains so much. He took me winning as a sign they were about to make it and should go on tour. That's why he wanted the car so damn much. Obviously, we had a huge fight. I sacrificed a lot because he told me he'd never be happy without that degree, and he threw it away to play rock star while I ground myself down at dead-end jobs. I told him I agreed to support him through one dream, and if he was done with it, I was going after my dreams now. He made all kinds of promises to me about how he'll take care of me when he gets famous, but I told him the only promises I cared about were the ones he made when I agreed to help him through school. He broke up with me until I, quote, come to your senses. As far as I'm concerned, that's already happened, so I had his brother pick up his stuff. He tried to cause problems about me illegally evicting him, but I reminded him I had some text conversations where he said, your apartment, your problem, and I don't live there anymore, so deal with it. I have no idea if that's legally enforceable, but neither does he. My lease is up in 3 months, and I won't have to worry about it after that. It's been really rough accepting he's not the guy I fell in love with anymore, but the way he's been acting has made it a lot easier. I'm mostly angry I sunk so much of my time and money and compromised my future for him, but I guess it's better I found out now instead of later. I got tested in case he cheated or was doing other drugs, and so far so good. I'm also 9,000% sure my ex staged the 3 break-ins we had in our apartment after one of his friends told me around that time my then boyfriend was trying to sell my prescriptions and his laptop that I ended up replacing for F's sake that was supposedly stolen. I told the cops and his friend agreed to make a statement, but I don't know what's happening with that yet. Other than that, I'm happy to report I'm only working one job now that's actually something I want to do and pays way more. My apartment is much nicer without his junk, and now the toilet is never unflushed and the seat is always down, so I've got that going for me too. With all my free time, I've rescued a kitty and I'm learning to knit. I was planning on becoming an old cat lady, but I also went on my second first date ever. It was with another woman, which was kind of a surprise, but also somehow not. We've got a second date planned and I'm incredibly giddy with anticipation, which is really nice. Oh, and I told my dad how much he liked his dump him, fund consent conversation, and he said his grandma gave him one when he decided to get married at 18, not my mum, so he can't take credit for the idea. Thanks for the well wishes, everyone. One comment says, sorry he turned out to be such a heel. Getting dumped is never fun, but a bullet was definitely dodged here. My apartment is much nicer without his junk, and now the toilet is never unflushed and the seat is always down, so I've got that going for me, which is nice. Being dumped is never fun, but I think in OP's case, it's the best thing that could have happened to her, lol. And can't forget, with all my free time I've rescued a kitty. Yay to rescue animals. Entitled, a coke addict, a thief, etc, etc, what a complete pile of human garbage. Congratulations on getting rid of him. Enjoy doing you, OP. Another comment replies, lol, and wanted to be in a Christian rock band? Hilarious when you consider all of those factors together. The toilet is never unflushed. The frick, did he not flush? OP replies, not usually, which made it so much more lovelier that time I forgot to check the seat and fell in. Yay kitty cat. Also, while this all really sucked for you to live through, I am sure that it will be the most delightful of anecdotes. Dropped out of school to join a Christian rock band is just about the dumbest life plan I can think of, especially given the general state of the music industry as a whole, and of Christian rock in particular. Opie replies, it's very unlike him. I thought he was messing with me until he showed me the videos. Not good. I don't know if coke explains all of what's going on. There may be other drugs I don't know about. He's not the same as when we met. I know that much. Yeah, drugs can do that to people. Okay, Opie posted separately in legal advice asking a couple questions. I posted an update to relationships after asking for advice, and someone recommended I make sure I can't get in legal trouble over the situation. I live in California and had my apartment for 4 years. My ex lived with me for 3 years. He never paid rent or was on the lease. My landlord knew he was there and he got mailed there. My lease is up in 3 months and I'm planning on moving. He left willingly, and when I texted him about some damage he'd done to the building that he'd promised our landlord he'd fix, he sent me 2 texts that I kept copies of saying, your apartment, your problem, and I don't live there anymore, so deal with it. He sent his brother to my place to pick up some music equipment, and I had his brother take all his stuff with him. My ex texted me angrily about how I couldn't just legally evict him, but backed off when I sent him screenshots of the texts. Also, the police are currently investigating him for 3 break-ins to my apartment when he lived there, based off of one of his friends making a statement that he tried to sell him my prescriptions and his laptop around that time. I don't know if that's relevant. Could he cause me any legal problems? And in the comments, he voluntarily vacated and he told you he wasn't coming back. You did what you could to give his property back. I think you're in the clear, and that it's unlikely someone on the receiving end of multiple police investigations will have time to sue you over a supposed illegal eviction. What are his damages? On the outside chance that he does sue, get advice from a lawyer, but I think you've largely covered yourself. Legal advice: you've already got the evidence of him admitting willfully vacating the apartment and went the extra mile to even return his stuff, even after the I don't live there. By and large, you're in the clear. If you're served, show up. If the police come, show them those texts and potentially your landlord as well beforehand. Unwanted personal advice: keep him as an ex. Yeah, sounds like she's in the clear. And some final comments. I didn't have coke addict and Christian rock in the same lines on my bingo card of how awful this dude was. Looks like Opie won the lottery twice, once with the money and again by ditching this idiot. For people who live in the US, you can subtract gambling losses from gambling winners when you go to pay your taxes on it. It's pretty much the only useful thing my grandfather taught me, so if you regularly buy lotto tickets, keep a record of them. Alrighty folks, and that's the end of that story. We're going to leave that one there. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this one below. Have any of you guys won the lottery? I'm curious to know. I think my grandma won like $300 once or something, but other than that, I don't think I know anyone who has. Anyway, let me know, and we'll move on to another story. Okay, we're jumping over to True Off My Chest. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, My Husband's Open Marriage Suggestion Backfired on Him. My husband, Leo, 34, and I, 30 female, have been together for 7 years, married for 4 of them. We don't have any kids, and we don't intend to. 2 years ago, Leo asked me for an open marriage. I was devastated at the time. I couldn't understand why he didn't just want me. I couldn't even comprehend the idea of sharing him either. He gave me the same song and dance a lot of men give their spouses, swore up and down that he loved me. I just wasn't fulfilling his needs. He needed more than what I could give. It was just to spice up our life. It was just sex, etc., etc. I did ask if there was someone else. He said no. To this day, I'm still not sure if I believed him, but at the time I was angry and hurt and said no. He pestered me to change my mind for a week before giving me an ultimatum: open marriage or divorce. I chose the open marriage. I just couldn't bear the thought of him leaving me at the time. We have rules. We can't bring any partners home. We have to get tested for STDs every 3 months. 1 weekend out of the month must be left free for us time, and any money we spend on or with our partners must come from our personal accounts. I didn't partake in the open marriage myself for the first 3 months. Leo obviously did right away. He seemed to be gone or out late almost all the time, but he always acted so happy and loving towards me, while I felt like I was dying inside. It killed me to think he was sleeping with other women, and I felt so lonely and unattractive and not good enough. I told my sister, Katie, 26, and a few close friends everything. Katie told me to just play his game and be part of the open marriage too. If he can sleep around, so could I. I honestly didn't have much confidence in myself at the time. I'm a bit overweight, and I've never considered myself conventionally pretty. I was afraid this would just humiliate me further. Katie and my best friend Jessie, 30, set up my online dating profiles for me. I got so many matches that it was overwhelming. When I told Leo, he was surprised, but told me to do whatever I thought was best. Jessie helped me choose my first date, and I actually had a great time. He didn't pressure me for sex and took me out to drinks and dinner. We did have sex eventually, but it was all just casual and we didn't see each other after a couple of months of casual dating. That first guy really made me feel more confident in myself, so I kept going on dates with men. A lot of them wanted to treat me, so I didn't have to spend much of my own money. Not only that, but some of the men have given me the best sex I've ever had in my life, almost like the kind of sex you read in romance novels. It's been amazing. I'm currently seeing 2 different men alongside Leo. One, Mark, 38, is more of a steady boyfriend I've been with for about 6 months, and the other one, Stephen, 25, is very casual, mostly just hanging out and sex. They know about my open marriage and other relationships and are fine with it. My husband has not been so lucky. In the beginning, he definitely was. He was always out and about and didn't seem to care, even when I started dating too. But now he just complains a lot and hasn't been going out much. He whines about how he's usually the one spending money. A lot of the women he tries to be with want an emotional connection before sex. He often wants to be with younger women, but they want younger men. He's also been upset that I go out with random guys so often while he's at home alone all the time. He hasn't asked to close the marriage yet, but I feel like he will soon. He keeps saying he misses us and wants to spend more time together. He tried to initiate sex a lot more too. He wants to go on dates and go on vacations and all that stuff more and more. And he gets upset when I tell him I can't because I've already scheduled to do stuff with my partners, mostly Mark. Honestly, I don't think I love Leo anymore. I care about him, but I just don't love him. I'm not saying I love Mark or Stephen, but I honestly feel closer to Mark nowadays than I do Leo. Mark makes me feel comfortable and safe, and I love spending time with him more than my own husband. Stephen is funny and sweet and really good at sex. Katie and Jesse have been wanting me to divorce for a year now, but I was afraid of hurting him and thought I still loved him. But I think my love for him died when he asked for this open marriage in the first place. Seeing him get all pissy about it now, just because he's not benefiting from it, is also a turn-off for me too. But I don't know if divorce is the best option. I still care about him and I still don't want to hurt him. Maybe if he finally asks to close the marriage, we can talk about it then. Yeah, classic. Honestly, the only image I'm getting in my head about this guy is just pure petulance. He asked for an open marriage purely out of a place of, selfishness, and now he wants to close it, probably, because of selfish reasons as well. Honestly, to me, sounds like the marriage was over when he asked. But let's see. Let's look at the comments first. Divorce. You're happier without him. He would only want to close the marriage because he can't get laid, not that he only loves you. Opie says, we've just been together for so long that the idea of him not being there feels weird, which sounds stupid since I have 2 other partners, so it's not like I'll be lonely, but Leo was a part of my life for so long that for him to not be there just doesn't feel right, but you're probably right. Opie comments on her husband dismissing her feelings regarding the open marriage. I really do think Leo does love me in his own way, even when he was more active in the open marriage. He still made time for me and I still did a lot with him and for me, but you're probably right on the divorce. Part of the issue is the main relationship is supposed to be the most important one, so the whole 1 weekend a month for us time wasn't enough. Opie says, I actually did argue that in the beginning, but he insisted that he needed to keep his weekends free. He did spend a lot of time at home during the weekdays, so in his mind that made up for it. What if he finds evidence of your open marriage and frames you as a cheater and then brings you to the cleaners? At this point, I wouldn't trust Leo. What you're experiencing is normalcy. You're used to his presence in your life, but how long are you going to live like this? Opie replies, Jesse had the same train of thought of you and actually took screenshots of his dating profiles during the beginning of the open marriage. She also told me to save screenshots of any texts we had about the open marriage. I don't think Leo would do that, but I also didn't think he'd ever ask for an open marriage, so what do I know? On to an update. Hi everyone, I got so many comments and messages on my last post, which got deleted for some reason, that I was a bit overwhelmed, especially when a lot of you kept saying the same thing, divorce, divorce, divorce. But the thing is, I think a part of me does still love my husband. I know in my last post that I didn't think I loved him anymore, but I can't just forget about the things that I do love. I love when he sings in the shower. I love when he laughs so hard he snorts. I love when he kisses my forehead when I've had a bad day. I love when he holds my hand when we watch TV together. Leo has done a lot of crappy things, but he really isn't the big a-hole people think. Maybe that was my fault. But even if I do still love him, I'm not in love with him anymore. I don't think I have been for a while. I care about him. A part of me does still love him, but you all were right. I should have just divorced him when he gave me that ultimatum in the first place. This past Saturday, we had the big talk. I initiated it, but he didn't seem too surprised. I just told him that I noticed he didn't seem to like me going out with Mark or Stephen, and asked if there was a problem. He said there was, but he didn't ask me to close the marriage. He just asked me if I still loved him. I said something like, "Not like I used to." He broke down crying, which made me cry. I guess he'd known for a while that I wasn't in love anymore, but he had hoped he could win me back if he funneled all of his energy into me. I was honest and told him that during those first 3 months of our open marriage, I think my love for him died, and I just couldn't get it back. I did tell him that I still cared about him, and that I did love him, but it's not the same as it was. He asked if I loved Mark or Stephen, and I said no. I like being with them, and I care about them a lot, but I can't say I'm in love with either of them. I also finally asked him why he wanted to open the marriage in the first place. A lot of you in the comments said he already had someone lined up, and you were right. He had someone at work he was interested in, and she wanted him too. The open marriage was just to get permission. He honestly never expected me to also get my own partners because of how unconfident I was, but he didn't want to stop me either because he thought nothing would come of it. He didn't really like me seeing other men, but he knew it wouldn't have been fair to tell me no when I gave him permission first. I guess Mark and Stephen made him insecure because I was spending so much time with them on a regular basis. The open marriage was just sex on the side for him. He only did hookups and they never lasted long. He genuinely always just loved only me, but he thought I was falling in love with my partners and he was losing me and wanted to win me back. We cried a lot and talked a lot. We've decided to get a divorce. Since the house is in his name, I'm going to move out and live with Katie for a while. He told me I didn't have to and I could stay until the divorce was finalized, but I just can't. It's too hard to even look at him sometimes. I don't know how I feel, to be honest. I thought I would be relieved or sad, but I'm just tired. I wish I could have been like you all wanted me to be, clapping back or being sarcastic and snarky or rubbing it in his face, but I don't feel like I've won anything. I just feel lost. One comment says, "I'm wondering if that maybe the other woman ended it, so now he's back to what he was comfortable with, his wife. He went and had his fun, and when that died out, he was not left with a wife waiting for him at home." Opie replies, "He and his co-worker were only sleeping together for maybe a month. She fulfilled his kinks that I never liked indulging in. That's why he was with most of his partners, because I wasn't interested in his kinks." He stepped out of this marriage first and tried to have his cake and eat it too. The thing with open marriages is that you can never count on how emotions will change. Sex is a very intimate action, and many people will develop emotional connections. Those connections come at a price. He placed a bet, and he lost. At least he's man enough to acknowledge it and own up to it. There's no easy answer, OP. I wish you healing. Opie replies, "Thank you. Leo just thought the open marriage would be a way for him to get all of his kinks he couldn't do with me because I wasn't into it. He knew how unconfident I was, which wasn't because of him. A lot of people seem to think that he eroded my self-esteem, but he didn't. We can thank my mother for that, but that's a whole other can of worms. So he never expected me to partake in the open marriage either. So basically, while he asked for a mutually open marriage, he expected it to be only his side open, and then got hurt that reality didn't meet his expectations." Opie says, "Leo admitted that he did only expect his side to be open. He was never going to stop me from opening my side, but like I said, he didn't think I would. To be honest, I don't think I would have either if it wasn't for Jesse and Katie pushing me and making profiles for me." Now for a new update. Hey, it's been a while. It feels like both a lot and nothing has happened. I still have a lot of feelings, but I'm also just really tired. Leo and I are still in the middle of our divorce. It's been as amicable as a divorce can be. Since we mutually agreed to it and we had a prenup, it's been pretty easy splitting everything else 50-50. My lawyer says I should be divorced by the end of the year. Leo is insistent on giving me alimony, but I'm not really interested. Thanks to a lot of people making me think about Leo's explanation for the open marriage, I did approach him about it again and asked him to be 100% honest with me about that girl from work. He admitted there was more to it than he admitted. This is what he explained to me, and I've decided to believe him. Even if he's lying, it doesn't really matter anymore since we're getting divorced. I also just have little energy to care about the details at this point. According to him, this is the timeline. He was posting on Reddit about his kinks for advice and such, which I did know about beforehand. He was getting messages from this one user, and they just kept talking back and forth. He mentions my name to the user in a conversation, which he let me read. During his lunch break, his co-worker, I'll call her Mary, approaches him and asks if he uses Reddit and asks about his handle. He confirms, and then Mary tells him that she's the user he's been talking to. They start talking more and more in real life as friends and eventually start talking through Instagram. He also showed me these conversations. The conversations were mostly just memes and jokes with occasional flirts or mentioning of kinks. At one point, she says it's too bad he's not single. This is when he decided to demand the open marriage, because Mary was clearly into him and into the same kinks, and she could sexually satisfy him since I was unable to. That's how he basically said it anyway. Truth be told, we did have some bed difficulties before the open marriage was brought up. I'm very vanilla, and he discovered his kinks after we were married. I tried them all for him, but I just couldn't get into it, and he didn't like seeing me struggle, so he didn't try to bring them into the bedroom again after it was obvious I didn't like it. So we did have sexual compatibility issues. Maybe we were doomed to fail even without the open marriage ultimatum. Our families, outside of my sister, were shocked when we told everyone we were getting a divorce. They always thought we were so happy and in love. My mum blames me, which I expected, but it still hurts. They don't know about the open marriage, and Leo and I plan to keep it that way. I think he is ashamed to tell them. I am too, if I'm being honest. I really thought Leo was the love of my life. He was my first for almost everything. I said we were together for 7 years, but we were friends since college. I've known him for nearly 12 years, and we're about to become strangers soon. I still mourn my marriage, even though Katie and Jesse keep telling me this is for the best. They're both definitely thrilled, they don't hide it, but they also know this has been a weird time for me. I just don't know how to feel. I thought I would feel free or relieved or heartbroken or something, but I just feel weird, like I lost a part of myself and I don't know how to get it back. I'm still living with Katie, but I'll be moving out soon. I found a 1-bedroom apartment that's near Jesse, so I won't be completely alone. Mark offered to let me move in with him, but I declined. Honestly, we're kind of on standby. He knows I'm having a hard time processing my feelings about my husband and the end of my marriage. I think he wants us to be official, but I don't know. I really do like Mark and I don't want to lose him, but I feel like I need to figure myself out first. As for Stephen, we ended our relationship at the beginning of August. He got a job offer in another state and took it. Even though it was casual, I did cry a little. Stephen is a great guy. Whenever he does decide to settle down into something serious, the woman who gets him will be a lucky one. We've been texting here and there, but it's mostly just sending each other TikToks and polite, "Hope you're doing well" messages. Some people asked me if I wanted to go back to monogamy, even after experimenting and clearly getting into this poly relationship I had going on. And the answer is yes, I do. Even though Mark and Stephen were great and I met plenty of great guys during my open marriage, I don't know if I've really been happy with myself or my choices. I also think I felt guilty a lot too, like I was somehow cheating on Leo, Mark and Stephen, even though it was all consensual. Polyamory and open relationships may work for some people, but it's really just not for me. Jesse says I need to get a therapist. I have tried looking, but finding a therapist that's both available and seems like a good fit is a pain. Hopefully I can find one by the time the divorce is settled. I also want to figure out what to do about Mark on my own. I don't want to lead him on and give him false hope. Maybe we should take a break, or maybe I should tell him to just break up with me. He should find his own happiness without worrying about me. One commenter says, "You're numb. It happens when you lose your partner and you're grieving, and under a great deal of stress. I think Reddit as a whole takes divorce really blithely, but I read once that divorce is one of the most stressful life events, right after death of a loved one. And I'm slightly curious, you say your family is shocked that you're divorcing because you seemed so in love, but the fact that your friends are delighted you're leaving your husband tells me that they've witnessed some not-so-great relationship dynamics." Opie replies, "Katie and Jesse were the only ones I told about the open marriage, so they're glad it finally ended in divorce. None of my other friends or family members know." I've read all your posts, and I don't know why you're still protecting your ex by not telling people what he bullied you into doing. He had the girl all picked out and wanted your approval so he could cheat. Tell the damn world. I would. You have nothing to be ashamed about. Don't let your mother put the blame on you. You need a therapist who will help you build your self-esteem. Opie replies, "I just feel embarrassed I let it get to this point, I guess. I probably should have just gone with a divorce when the ultimatum was first issued." I'm glad you're healing. It sounds like Mark wants more than you can give him right now. Focus on healing and find out who you are outside of this marriage. It's sad that your soon-to-be ex ruined a loving marriage for kink sex. I'm glad you're divorcing. You deserve better. Definitely get therapy. It will help you navigate the next part of your life. And that's that, folks. Yeah, honestly, probably all worked out for the best here. I think in a way agreeing to the open relationship in the first place was kind of delaying the inevitable, but, eventually it happened. And it sounds like Opie learnt a lot about herself and what she wants and needs in the process, so that's good too. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below. Okay guys, we're going to move on again. Okay, we're on Am I the A-hole now? This one was written by user Silver Skirt, and it's titled, "Am I the a-hole for implying my friends are being cheap over my wedding? Throwaway because I know my friends use Reddit. I, 38 female, am marrying my fiancé, 38 male, next year. I'm the last of my friends to get married, and honestly, I'd made my peace with being single and getting a dog before I met my fiancé. I'm part of a group of 6 girlfriends who have all known each other since college. We've been through everything together. Breakups, holidays, weddings, babies, promotions. When I told them I got engaged, they seemed happy and sent me congratulations messages, but when everyone else got engaged, they threw them parties or went out for dinner to celebrate. They didn't in my case. I gave them nearly a year's notice on my bachelorette party, which I'm keeping low-key as I don't want a big thing. We're going for dinner and drinks at one of my favourite restaurants in our city. However, slowly, all of my friends have been dropping out, saying they can't get a babysitter, or they have to work late, or they're on a work trip. I've obviously invited them all to the wedding as well, which again is a small affair, and one has already messaged the group chat saying she's not sure she can get a babysitter for that day. My wedding is months away, and I'm finding it really hard to believe that she knows that far in advance. 2 others have also said they're not going to stay for the reception, as they, quote, will be tired by then. Here's where I may be the a-hole. The straw that broke the camel's back was when I sent a link to the registry. My fiancé and I already have a house together, so we're asking for mostly small things. Nothing goes beyond $50, and we're delighted with anything that anyone chooses to buy us. They sent a message into the chat saying they were going to band together to get me an air fryer as a group gift. It cost $40, so I was a bit surprised that they seemed to be chipping in about $8 each. Over the years, I must have spent thousands of dollars on their weddings, 2 of which were overseas. I have attended dinners and brunches to celebrate their job promotions and bought gifts for their babies, all the while feeling terrible about myself watching my friends celebrate the happiness I never thought I'd get. I sent a message just asking for clarification if it was all of them buying it together, and one replied asking if I was calling them cheap, and then there's been dead silence since. That really wasn't my intention, but it really feels like because I'm last, they're just over having to do these events, and it's really feeding into my insecurity at getting married so late. But they do have legitimate reasons for these things. They all have lives and kids and maybe not as much money as when we were a bit younger, and maybe I'm just letting my insecurities get in the way. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? No, I think regardless of what's going on, unless there's a really good reason, Opie deserves to be celebrated the way that everyone else in this friend group has. Let's go to some comments. Not the a-hole. These people aren't your friends. Find a new friend group. Oh, and they are cheap. Yeah, these people do not like OP. She's not picking up on it for some reason. OP seems to be what I call the leftover friend. Basically that one awkward person that has been in your group forever, but isn't really anybody's friend. Aside from maybe the one girl who brought her into the group in the first place, weddings, baby showers and birthdays are the perfect time for everyone else to be like, Jerry Seinfeld with hands up, I don't want to be around her, I'm 40 years old, can I just not go to her party? I was willing to consider for a bit that maybe having kids made things different now from when they were all getting married, but buying an air fryer as a group gift, that's cheap, not the a-hole. The worst part is actually the cheapness. If you're asking for all this understanding and compromise from one friend when being singled out and given zero effort, the least thing anyone can do to make up for that is get the most awesome gift as a sorry I didn't make the effort to come, here's something to make up for it a bit. What they've shown now is that they don't want to make an effort on her at all, and also they don't want to spend money on her at all. I'd send this post to the group chat and then say my goodbyes, including, don't bother with the air fryer, I've had more hot air by now than I can handle in a lifetime. Not the a-hole. Your friends are not really friends in the definition, they are acquaintances. This happens quite often. People have lives and they may still remain in contact with you, but you're not their go-to. You're very generous and they've benefited from that. It reminds me of Sex and the City, Season 6, Episode 9, A Woman's Right to Shoes. Now for an update. Hi everyone, I didn't think I would have an update to give, but I wanted to repay everyone's kindness. Some people said some really lovely and helpful things. First off, I wanted to clarify a few questions that were asked. I didn't care at all what they bought us as a gift. I didn't care if they got us a gift at all. It was never about the air fryer. I really wasn't calling them cheap. I was just clarifying if it was coming from all of them. I also didn't ask if they were getting us a gift. They brought this up themselves. I couldn't put my finger on why it made me feel a bit weird. I think the word I was searching for was disrespect. Someone said an $8 gift is worse than no gift, and I think that's the heart of it. The money issue came up as well. As far as I know, all of my friends are fairly solvent. We all work in the finance field, mostly as accountants. 3 are very senior in their firms, and all of their husbands have good jobs, but we never discuss money. And I know kids and the cost of living is high at the moment, so I'd never want to assume anyone's financial status, but everyone seems okay. The other issue was a lot of people asked how often we see each other, and the answer is quite regularly. We made a pact years ago to meet up at least once a month, no matter how crazy life gets, and we've been mostly able to stick to that. The 6 of us usually meet for Sunday brunch. Apart from that, I live in the same neighbourhood as 2 of them, so we do dinner occasionally, and parties for their kids, etc. are a must. The last question was my wedding isn't child-free and is in our city. I love kids and my friends' kids are surrogate nieces and nephews to me, and they're all invited. The friend who said she couldn't find childcare said she didn't want to bring her kids because she said that weddings are easier without them. Lastly, some suggested they don't like my fiancé. They've never given me that impression. Everyone seems to get on well enough. I've known him for 2 years, and he occasionally goes golfing with some of their husbands. Now onto the update. Reading the comments was like having cold water thrown over me. I've never considered myself the outsider friend, but a lot of people suggested that I was, and it really threw me, and I got really overwhelmed. I didn't send any messages to the group chat, even though lots of commenters gave me really good suggestions about what to write, and I withdrew into myself until my fiancé prized it out of me what was wrong. I showed him this post, and he got super quiet, and really angry. I've never seen him this angry over anything ever. He asked if I'd spoken to them about this, and I said no. He started to call them individually and read them the riot act. He called them $8 a-holes and said he would be sending them an itemized list of the thousands of dollars I'd spent on them over the years. He called bullcrap on the one who said she couldn't get a babysitter, and she indeed said she was sick of having to go to the same boring wedding over and over, and yours won't be any different, and he lost it at her. I hate the idea of him fighting my battles for me, so I asked him to stop after the third person. I sent a message into the group chat asking if we could all speak as a group, and the three he called sent voice messages saying that my fiancé was a psycho and that they wouldn't speak to me anymore. I just felt really tired and defeated, so I sent a message saying that if they didn't want to be friends anymore, that was fine, and to consider their invitations withdrawn to the bachelorette and wedding. No one has replied, so I guess we're done. I suppose I'm better off, but I don't feel that way. I just feel numb and sad. They've been such a big part of my life for so long, and I really feel the loss, and I'm so sad I won't see their kids anymore. Some of them refer to me as auntie, and it's making me cry that I won't see them grow up. My fiancé has apologized for rushing in, and for not asking me how I wanted to handle it, and I've accepted. We're good, and I'm looking forward to our life together. I mostly wanted to say thank you to the kind Redditors that showed me the light about this, and offered congratulations on our wedding, and even offered to buy us a gift. I've never watched Sex and the City, but I'll watch the episode some people mentioned. It seems like I'll relate. I'll delete this post soon. I just want to put this behind me now. Oh man, that's so sad for OP, coming to the realization that your friends weren't really your friends in the end. One comment says, "The worst part of this is how coordinated all of the friends in the group were. They have been talking about OP behind her back for years." I've been the leftover friend many times over until I've curated a group of friends that I cherish and cherish me back. I'm a bit of an outsider with some friends in a friend group, but within that group there are ones I know are still my ride or dies, which makes it worth those others. I feel for OP that she didn't realize she was giving more than she was getting back, and felt she was closer with all of her friends than she was. I literally haven't talked to someone I considered my best friend for 15 years, because one day I realized that I'd been the one to always make the plans and reach out, so I decided to wait for her to reach out, and we haven't spoken in 10 years. I'm just now starting the therapy to unpack the years of crappy behaviour I've put up with to keep people around who I thought were my friends. I hope OP does the same. As the leftover friend who didn't realise until my late 20s, this hit me in the feels. It could definitely have gone on longer, but thankfully I came to my senses, probably in no small part to finally getting a proper mental health diagnosis. And for my next trick, I'll break my own heart by exaggerating my place in other people's lives. Okie dokie folks, and we're going to leave that one there. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, as always. Either way, that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.